Today on Locked On Red Wings, they may have fallen 4-2 to the Chicago Blackhawks in the preseason here, but Elmer Soderblom just might make the roster out of preseason.
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Red Wings podcast. We are your hosts, Brian Fisher and Scotty Bentley. I am a podcast producer for WWJ News Radio, and Scotty is host of Locked On Tigers, as well as a freelance journalist for the Detroit News. And the Red Wings fell in Game 2 of the preseason, 4-2 to the Chicago Blackhawks. Scotty, it wasn't a bad game. I thought they competed fairly well. They outshot their opponent and out-attempted their opponent, but I think the Blackhawks just did a better job of taking advantage of their opportunities. The Red Wings had a lot of good opportunities, just failed to convert on. But before we get into an in-depth breakdown, man, I noticed something. I was at the game, row 1, right behind the home net. It's great seats.
Yeah,
and
nice
I noticed
flex,
something
dude.
sitting right. Yeah, oh, yeah, definitely. I noticed something sitting right there. The letters on the jerseys were above the tip of the wing, which that switched over to the right side of the jersey when Lidstrom became captain. It flipped. Yzerman before that, it was always above the tip, and they switched it over because there was more space on that side. I noticed that it was back above the tip, and so there's 2 conspiracy theories I have on this. One, I hope it's kind of like their earn the curve type thing. You know how like in the preseason the nameplates are straight. I'm hoping that you don't get the letter on the proper side until you're like officially the captain or assistant captain for the season. But my other conspiracy theory is that they moved it back over there to make space for an ad on the jersey. And that's what I'm really afraid of. Because if they moved the letter, the captaincies on the jerseys to make room for a jersey ad, because that's where everyone's jersey ads have been so far, is on that right side. If they move the letters on the jerseys for a ad, I will be livid. Absolutely pissed. You have no idea.
I have some semblance of an idea. Yeah, I mean, I certainly don't think it's the first one. Like Dylan Larkin has to he's going into his third year as the captain. He has to re-earn.
Why would they put it on the wrong side then?
Maybe that's the new right side. Maybe they're just doing like the old time, we're going to go back to the original way thing.
But it doesn't. It's like halfway on the shoulder when they put it over there. They moved it back. They moved it over to this side for a reason. I don't know. I saw that and I was like, oh, because even the guy I was sitting next to was like, they're going to put an ad there, aren't they? And I was just like, no,
I think
man.
that's probably like the easiest like conspiracy to come up with. I don't know. Like I don't. I'm not saying it's a slam dunk. I think the Wings are. I would say that the Wings are going to be one of the last dominoes to fall on that, just because like I think they do understand that people aren't going to be fans of it, and they do understand the original six-ness of everything. But like, I mean, I think that the ad is more likely than. Now, it is possible that I don't know. It's just like preseason jerseys. Like
I hope that's right. I mean, because let's be honest, the earn the curve thing is BS anyways. The actual reason why they don't do curved lettering on preseason jerseys is because there's over 60 players. And so it's way easier to just apply a nameplate than to hand stitch a curved lettering to a jersey. That's the real reason. Earn the curve is a BS reason they fed to us to make us think that it meant something when it doesn't. It was just out of sheer convenience.
Correct.
So this could have been the same thing. It could have just been easier because they're not like hand stitched letters. They weren't even full size. They're a lot smaller.
Yeah, correct. They were way smaller.
I mean, like, I just hope it's not for the advertisement thing. I'm so terrified of jersey ads. You have no idea. I mean, you have a very good idea. You've heard my tirade about it.
I think everyone has a pretty good idea, actually.
Yeah, good point.
I think everybody has a pretty good idea where you stand on that at this point, yeah.
But let's get into the game itself. Scotty, when talking about this 4-2 loss, what was the first person that stood out to you in the game?
Probably Soderblom.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I think so. He looks great. And the cool thing before the game, Daniela Bruce, I believe, was the first person to report it. But she said that, well, it doesn't matter who was first. She did report it. And she said that there was a request from the front office, the upper management of the Detroit Red Wings to get Soderblom top 6 minutes and special teams play.
Yep.
And that's what we saw. And he was great and looked awesome. And I think this is the best he's looked, like prospects, training camp, red and white game 1. Like, I think this is the best he's looked yet since we've gotten to see him this whatever I guess we're calling it this season.
Well, and Derek Lalonde said as much in the post-game press conference. Daniela Bruce again reported that Lalonde
What a
said,
champ. What a star Daniela Bruce
"Oh,
is.
her transition into full-on like reporter
The
has
dog.
been phenomenal. She's great.
She's
And
great.
And I love that last season they especially gave her a couple opportunities in the radio booth with Ken Cow
Yeah.
when Paul Woods is out. She was fantastic on color commentary, and
Yeah.
they're like increasing. It really feels like they're grooming her to become, full-time color commentary when either Mick or Paul Woods decides to hang him up, so to
Yeah.
speak. Because she seems like a perfect fit for it. She knows the game. I could go on and on about how
She's
good
great.
Daniela
She's
Bruce
great.
has been. But Elmer Soderblom, I mean, yeah, Derek Lalonde said he looked great in the first game. He looked even better in this game. He looked excellent in this game. We saw it with the eye test. He was everywhere on the ice, making things happen. He was forcing turnovers. He was back checking. It's just, I mean, it's so easy when you're that tall and have that kind of reach and can skate well. But
back checking when you're 7 feet tall.
yeah,
It's sick. It's so cool to watch a forward do it too. The one thing that I noticed that I is just an intangible thing that no other like forward can really do with how big he is. Really is when there was one play, it was really early in the game. And there was one play where they were rotating and him and Sider were on the ice at the same time. And Sider, we'll get to Sider. He looked fantastic. And I know like we kind of expected that, but he looked really good. Sider had peeled off from like back left, and he was just skating around doing like Moritz Sider stuff, right? Where he was just being fast and awesome and a great skater and being incredible and like was puck handling. And Soderblom just like kind of stayed back and then just acted as like left side D man for the play because he's massive. And he was like, yeah, this works. And it looked like it was just Moritz Sider back there. I was like, oh wow, that's Elmer Soderblom. So I just think that's like again, that's like an intangible thing. Like obviously the switch is like what you teach, and like that's obviously part of the game, but the intangible thing of him just looking like a defenseman back there when those switches happen is something that, can't really be taught or trained for. It's just like, oh, you're like 6'7", so that's just gonna happen.
well, and it's crazy to watch his evolution too. I mean, he was a 6th round. We've talked about it on end. He's a 6th round draft pick, but then we remember a couple years ago in the World Juniors when he's having those soft hands in front of the net, and it kind of puts him on your radar, and you're like, this guy's interesting. Let's keep an eye on him. And his evolution, he's just become such a well-rounded, complete player since then. Like, I legitimately think he has a shot to make this team out of preseason. And the fact that management is asking him to play top 6 minutes in special teams, and then he goes out there and he excels. He led the team in Corsi 4 percentage at 80% at 5-on-5 and a relative of 26%. So when he was on the ice, the team generated 26 more shooting attempts than when he was off the ice. 26% more shooting attempts when he was on the ice than when he was off the ice. That led the team. He was fantastic in this game as a winger at that. Like not even a center. Like a center is the most impactful position. As a winger, he had led the team in Corsi 4 relative, and then the expected goals for percentage relative, which is the quality. I saw this, Scotty, and I didn't believe it. He has an expected goals for percentage relative of 41.95% in this game. His expected goals for percentage is better than his Corsi 4 percentage relative by almost 20%. By almost 20%. Like, that is insane to me because expected goals for is the quality of the shot attempt factored in as well, not just the shot attempt, which means he was even more impactful when you take into account where that shot came from and how it was produced. He looked fantastic in this game. There's another guy too I want to specifically shout out, but before we get to that, I do got to talk to you guys today about BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your number one source for football betting info this season. Find all of the latest player developments, team matchups, news, podcasts, and in-depth articles and analysis on every game you can find. And as always, BetOnline remains your continued source for all your sport wagering information with live betting and up-to-the-minute scores for every sport out there. The fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite games and events, including MLB, MMA, boxing, and golf. Head to BetOnline.net or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. Segment 2, Locked On Red Wings podcast. We're singing the praises of Elmer Soderblom. And before I get to my other player that I really loved in this game today, is there any final things you need to say about Elmer? Get off your chest.
I don't think so. I mean, it was just you could still. It wasn't a perfect game either. Like there's a couple of
Well, they lost, right?
moments. Well, yeah, but there was a couple of moments, especially in the third, like just skating moments where he just like tried to make a move and literally just fell over, and that's
he got laid out along the boards at one point too.
Yeah, he did. But I mean, there was two that I remember where he literally just was like trying to make a move skating, and like no one, like he contact was being made, like it's but he didn't get hit, he didn't get tripped up or anything, just like fell. And so that's that'll come with development and whatnot. But I thought he looked fantastic. Yeah, that was really the biggest thing. And like I said, the versatility he has just by being huge is something that you can't teach, and it's going to be awesome to see if he keeps developing.
Just like Jeremie Biakabituka was phenomenal in this game from the back end of the ice. I am falling in love with this right-handed defenseman. This camp invitee. I mean, I think at this point, there's still 6 more games of the preseason, but unless he has a hard fall off, I think he's an easy, entry-level contract recipient. I think that he's 100% going to get signed because he's been very, very good. His motor in this game, and he's obviously got something to prove, so he's going to go 100%, but he was finishing his checks. He was playing good, solid defense in the defensive zone. He was taking good shots. I mean, he led the team in expected goals for percentage relative. He was better than Elmer Soderblom in that regard. He was third on the team in Corsi for percentage. But so when you factor in that quality of the shot, he was the best player on the team. And the eye test matched that. He was very solid out there on the ice. And, I didn't quite realize how big he is either, because, when you're there in person, you're like, oh crap, he's a big boy too.
Yeah.
And I was really impressed again with his play in this game. I mean, he's just been very solid. He skates really well. He handles the puck well. So, I mean, not only do I think he's going to get an entry-level contract, I mean, he's kind of making a case, in my opinion, for making the roster over certain other guys. I mean, I think Gustav Lindstrom hasn't looked that strong so far in these first 2 preseason games. He's looked okay, but not that great. But, we're talking about a team right now who there's no guarantees on any player. I mean, any player could beat out anyone. If Biakabituka looks better than...
There's a couple, but yeah,
there's a couple.
You're set, especially when you get to like bottom 6 forwards and bottom pair plus 7th D man. Like that's where you really get, like, there is definitely no guarantees.
Yeah, I mean, I was really impressed with him again. I really hope he receives an entry-level contract and at the very least goes to Grand Rapids because he looked great.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
Simon Edvinsson, though. So here's the thing. He was good and also not good at the same time. It really depended on the shift.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. I think that I don't know. I mean, we can call a spade. He wasn't very good, especially I thought in the second and third periods. I didn't think he was good, but there were definitely flashes and plays where he did, and there were some plays that he really didn't. And I think that the positioning later in the game, especially, I thought was not great. There was a lot might be dramatic, but there were several pretty bad turnovers. There were a couple of moments where, just straight up, he couldn't get like a stick on the puck. Like there was a couple of, the Chicago was trying to get the puck out of the zone, and he was right there and could have just put the stick on the puck and kept the puck in the zone, and it just, went right past him and got past the blue line and everything. Like that happened a couple of times, and it happened late in the third at one point. Yeah, I mean, kind of looked a little timid, I thought, at times, just in the sense of, really crashing and really going after either the puck handler or just like finishing a hit or whatnot. I don't know. Like there were certainly flashes of really good play too. He made a couple of really nice passes that really impressed me. In the first period, I thought offensively, like that's where you kind of saw the flashes of like this dude, if like he could really be special on both ends of the puck and just offensively and defensively. I thought he really highlighted some of those in the first. Like I said, a couple of really good zone entry passes, a couple of kind of like almost playing quarterback plays that we've seen from Sider last year, and honestly Hronek the year before that. I thought that he was, yeah, there were certainly some good plays to hang your hat on, but I think as a whole, you know, lot of room to grow still, and a lot of stuff still yet to prove to solidify a spot on the roster.
Yeah, so it's weird. He led the Red Wings in time on ice total. He played 22 minutes, which was about 30 seconds more than Moritz
I
Seider
love
did
that
in this
though.
game. Yeah,
I
they
love
gave
that.
him a
Play
lot
him
of
as much as
opportunities.
possible. Yeah,
Um,
I want to get the most looks at him as possible. So
yeah,
yeah,
Derek Lalone said that he had an excellent first period, which I would agree with for the most part. And then
yeah.
second
And
and
I
third
think
period,
he was the really bad turnover right next to the net in the
I
first
thought it was the
period.
first period, but
Yeah,
my point being here is that he was solid all game long. I thought that he looked solid all game long, except for a
when he
few.
didn't.
But uh, the thing is when he was out there, he looked fine. But then there was the mistakes. The mistakes he made were big mistakes, and you
Yeah,
cut those out when as you become more refined, and he's going to be a great player. You definitely see the ceiling on Simon Edvinsson,
absolutely, and it's
but
very high and it's very exciting, and I want to keep watching him play 22 minutes for the rest of the preseason.
like his every offensive metric you look at has him as a positive asset in this game,
Yep.
but he made a couple boneheaded mistakes, couple like just rookie mistakes. I don't know how to put it otherwise. Like the turnover in front of the net that everyone keeps talking about. I mean, when and this isn't a humble brag, but like I was right behind. I was on the glass today, and it was the puck came to him. The puck came to him from the pass, and I could see it. He looked up before the pass got on his tape to look for an outlet pass. And because he was thinking a step ahead, he missed the pass, and that
Yeah.
caused the turnover. I mean, that's a rookie mistake. That's something that's going to be taught out of him. So when I see things like that, when I see mistakes get made like that, I'm not worried because those are fixable mistakes.
For sure.
It's not his overall play that is suffering. It's these little mistakes he's making there that are unfortunately having a big impact. But these, though, all the mistakes he's making, like I said, are fixable mistakes. It has nothing to do with his overall play style or the way he's approaching the game. It's just brain farts. But those
Yeah.
are fixable.
It's the difference between teachable mistakes and like unteachable intangible stuff that you
Yeah.
just like don't have. And like he very much has like every intangible you could want. It just a lot of several, multiple plays in this one that just were like you said, teachable, but they were mistakes. And so I'm really pumped to see him like continue to play. I want him to get again. I really want him to get as much possible playing time, like as possible for the remainder of the preseason. I think that would make everybody happy. I want him to continue getting 20 plus minutes a night. Put him on the top pair. I don't care. Put him out there as much as possible, because it's still like when some of the plays he made in this game, in the same breath were pretty incredible. And he's a very solid skater. And like I said, he made a couple of really nice passes that I thought were really impressive. And positioning offensively, I thought was solid. He was good. He was good. It was just there were enough mistakes where overall, when you look at the entire game, you go, yeah, probably not the best performance. But you
Yeah.
saw why he's so highly regarded in the same breath.
Yeah, it was definitely more to come out of him for sure.
Sure.
I'm not writing him off of making the Red Wings roster right now, but I think that he needs to
Yeah,
show a
no,
little bit
certainly not.
more to guarantee it. I mean, right now Soderblom's looking like more of a lock than Edvinsson, if I'm being honest. Not that I'm trying to disparage Edvinsson whatsoever, but
That's a take,
Soderblom
I
didn't
feel like.
make those mistakes that Edvinsson did, if you know what I'm saying.
For sure.
When we come back, we'll talk about the Sherratt and Seider pairing, what our initial thoughts of that was, including goaltending and a surprise Matt Luff when we come back. Segment 3, Locked On Red Wings podcast. Scotty, do you want to let's talk about, I feel like Sherratt and Seider is a good place to start because we'll probably have the most to say about that. What was your initial thoughts when you watched that pairing out there?
I really liked it. I thought it was good in this game, and there's still a lot to prove, and we're gonna take everything in stride and whatnot. But I thought that it was a really solid performance. I think that, I mean, first and foremost, Moritz Seider looked unbelievable, and like we knew that, but like he really, when you don't watch him for whatever 4 months and you get to see him again, you're like, oh my goodness, I forgot almost how unbelievable you are at your job. He was so good, and he, I mean, everything. Like when he was quarterback, he was unbelievable. When he was, in the defensive zone, he was great. It was just constant.
He's a superstar, man, in the making.
Yeah, the only like slip up really of the entire game was like 12 seconds into the game. That was like it. Like he kind of whatever, like against the boards, and then tried to come out and kind of make up for it, and like didn't work, and they went down 1-0 early. But like besides that, he was nearly flawless. He's a star. Watching him skate is just so fun. Like it's just different. Like he's than any other big A defenseman you've ever seen. You know what I mean? Like it's so different. He's so good. He's so good. So it was really fun just to see him back on the ice and just see how good he is. So that was nice. But yeah, the pair, I liked it, and I thought Sherratt, we definitely saw a little bit of the physicality, like definitely finished some hits, and with a couple of the hits that he finished, you saw like, okay, he went out and went to puck handler, finished that hit, puck handler got rid of the puck, and now there's a hole, right, kind of in that slot area, or even in front of the net, because he went out and went after the at the time the puck handler. So like you saw that, but I don't think it was too costly in this game. Something, we know what we're getting with him, but I thought in this game it was a fine pair. I thought they looked good for the first action we've really seen them together in.
I mean, I think Sherratt was, I don't want to have anything to add with Seider. Seider looked like Seider. He looked excellent.
Yeah.
But I think with Sherratt, he was pretty much as advertised, a really physical defenseman, hard to play against in the defensive zone. Offensive wise, I think he broke even with 11 shot attempts for, 11 shot attempts against, which is 50%, which is right where you want to be at, really.
Yep.
The Red Wings outshot the Blackhawks, so relative, he's technically in the negative, but I'm not really again, preseason, I'm not really too concerned about that. I liked what he brought. I think that was a really good, mix of their two play styles, especially with the fact that they're both pretty physical, but, Seider being a little bit more offensive minded, a little bit more seamless with the puck, and Sherratt just being
the exciting part of it, right?
Yeah. So
Like,
I liked it
the
overall.
possibilities are it's fun to theorize and think about, the heights that they could reach. But yeah, I mean, it was fine. I don't think we saw anything that made me go, oh my goodness, the ceiling of this pair is going to be unbelievable. But at the same time, I didn't think, I definitely didn't watch it and go, oh, this is going to be an issue either. Like they really played off each other pretty well. And I think as they continue playing with each other, they'll only even get better at that. So
I also thought Matt Luff looked great.
Shout out Matt Luff.
Yeah.
Man.
He's somebody, he was a signing they made in the offseason, which I was like, oh, Grand Rapids depth. And in this game, he really played well. In fact, I think if you want to go back to those advanced metrics that you probably hate that I bring up constantly.
No, I love it.
He was 5th on the team in expected goals for percentage relative at 5-on-5. So at 5-on-5, the team was better, had better scoring opportunities when he was on the ice, and it showed. He was like how Biakabituka was on the back end. He was aggressive on the forecheck, aggressive on the back check, not afraid to use his body. And yet another guy where I was like, oh my God, this guy's huge. Like Matt Luff's huge too. And like Steve Yzerman has a type. Like we already knew that. He only signs big guys. But he looked really good. And I mean, he is a guy who has NHL experience. He's not like a rookie. So he's just not a guy I thought when they signed him would be, campaigning for an NHL roster spot. Not that he'll necessarily get one after 2 preseason games. I'm not going to make that guarantee, but he's definitely showing everything he's got out there. I was really impressed with how good he played in this game.
I agree. Yeah, I don't have too much to add, but I definitely agree. I thought that he was a plus. I'm just trying to go through in my head and see if we should probably talk about Ned.
Goaltending?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we should probably talk about goaltending, right? That's
Yeah,
probably
go
something
for it.
we should discuss. Yeah, Ned, not the sharpest game. I didn't think the first goal was really like that was just pretty Swiss cheese defense. The one that was 12 seconds in the game. That was pretty rough. That was a great shot and from a great spot. So that's like what happens usually in hockey when those two things mix. So like that one I wasn't really too upset about with Ned, but I mean, and like the second one was very much we were aggressive on offense and nobody was back, and that one was kind of a breakaway ish type of goal as well. So like I don't know. I don't want to just be the dude that forever for the rest of Ned's career is like, well, if the defense was good, because like that's what we did all year last year. But I don't know, like the two goals, I don't know.
You don't want to overreact quite yet, you know?
Yeah,
Um,
but I mean, certainly wasn't his sharpest either. I thought that both goals were this second one especially. I thought both goals were very I don't know, savable, I guess you'd say. But like it's the first look he's getting of live action this year or
I
whatever.
mean, let me put it to you this way. And again, we don't want to keep making excuses for goaltending. Goaltending has to own up. And Nedeljkovic didn't look his best in this game. There's no denying that. I mean, he let in two or three of the goals are on him. I think
I
maybe
think two.
two. All four of
Actually,
the
definitely two.
all four of the Blackhawks goals in this game came from high danger scoring areas. Like again, you don't want to make those mistakes. He still has to make the saves, but also recognize that he wasn't dealt the best hand. I mean, look at the Blackhawks goals. Right low in the slot, right in front of Nedeljkovic, and then one off to the side of the net. I mean, that's 3 high danger shot attempts against. That's not good. That's why in the end, even though the Red Wings dominated the shot attempts, the Blackhawks won because they had a lot of high danger shot attempts that they were able to convert on. The Red Wings didn't get that. The Red Wings had a better heat map overall, more sporadic all over the place, but the Blackhawks was concentrated. They took advantage of those opportunities they were given. I mean, that's what made the difference. It was literally the flip of what we saw yesterday. I
Right.
mean, who on the Blackhawks did you recognize? Like I saw Matt Savoy out there.
Right.
That was like it. Besides Soderblom, their goalie,
Right.
Elmer's brother. I
Right.
was like, oh, I recognize that name. So, and the Red Wings had a lot of like actual NHL talent. They had Sider, they had Raymond, they had Larkin, they had Perron, they have Sherrod, they had Nedeljkovic starting in net, but they weren't able to beat them, even though they outshot the Blackhawks. It was just it was the reverse of what we saw yesterday. So Nedeljkovic, he didn't play his best, but again, he was not helped out by where those shot attempts came from. But you have to play that. You have to keep that careful balance of like you don't want to blame it all on him, but also recognize he bears responsibility as well.
For sure.
What
And
about
yeah, again, probably looking too much into 2 periods in the preseason, but
yeah? What about Uki Nora? What'd you think?
I mean, sure. Only let up one goal. Like
He
that's, cool.
looked like a goalie to me.
Looked like a goalie to me. Yeah. And like that's why we brought, that's why you bring him in because you need goalie depth. And we saw last year what happens when you only have one goalie and you just run him out there every night, including back to backs. Like eventually that's not going to be able to be a thing. So yeah, he looks like a goalie to me. I agree. And he will be utilized as such. He will be utilized as, important goalie depth for this team. So
As we wrap it up here, we probably should mention the guy who scored both the goals for the Red Wings and Adam Ernie.
shout out Anna Murney,
His
man, the
second
dog.
goal in particular was actually very nice.
Oh,
That back
Pew
and forth.
Suter, beautiful pass, by the way.
Yeah,
Pew
that's
Suter, great setup. Waited, like was patient, then you got it right in front of the net, right at the right time.
it was
Beautiful.
the entire play breaking into the zone. I mean, that was a goal that came off the rush, and it
Yep.
was a nice pass. It was a clean zone entry. Nice passing play, I believe, begun by Adam Ernie down to Pew Suter down the side of the net. Like you said, it showed excellent patience to go back to Ernie who released it. And then Ernie, of course, scored the very first goal. And like, dude, a goal 11 seconds, and we got to stop doing that. That was all we did that all last year too.
I know
Red
we
Wings
did it
that
all of
last year.
last year, and now 2 games in a row we've given up goals in the first like 90 seconds.
I mean, of course, Adam Ernie went and got it back immediately. But I mean, Adam
Don't
Ernie had
care.
2 goals in this game, and we don't talk about it enough, but he's kind of competing for a roster spot at this point.
Mhm.
He's probably your 4th line winger, most available. Him and Smith, probably the
Yeah.
most readily
Oh,
about to get their
shout out
roster spots
Giovanni,
taken.
by the way. Got to see him back on the ice.
He's on the ice
Beautiful
out there.
sight. Beautiful
But
sight.
I mean, yeah, he's got to be trying super hard right now too, and he had 2 goals, which I think is
For
going to help
sure.
make a case for him.
For sure. Absolutely.
Anything else? Did anything else that stood out to you that we got to mention?
I don't think so, man. I mean, like I said, good to see Giovanni back out there. No, I think that was it though. I mean, like power play didn't look as good as it did yesterday, so that's something to keep an eye on. Penalty kill gave up, not perfect anymore. So again, something to keep an eye on. But uh, you know, game 2 of the preseason. Let's we'll ride it out. I don't think so. I think that's everyone.
Yeah, anyone of note at least. I mean, Larkin was just.
Oh yeah, everyone that
fun.
there was a noteworthy thing to say about.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow's an off day, so to speak, for the Red Wings. So what we're gonna do is BetOnline.ag came out with some odds. Why you
I
give me
hope
that look?
Raymond's okay. That was the other thing. I know I was
He's
forgetting
okay.
something. He got elbowed in the face
He'll be
and
good.
like skated off the ice with like 5 minutes left in the game. That was not pretty. So
He's gonna be
hope
okay.
he's good, but
He's good. He's good. He's good. I get it. He's good. Fine. We speak it into existence, buddy. He's good. He's fine.
Yeah, he's fine. He's fine. I agree.
But yeah, BetOnline.net released some odds for over-unders on player points, player goals, goals against average, and like chances of winning Norris. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. I put some polls out, respond to those. You guys asked some questions on Twitter. We're going to respond to those. And then preview as best we can the Washington game on Friday. Of course, again, preseason, so you can only preview so much when you don't know what the lineup's going to look like night to night. There's 60 people on this roster right now, guys. So it's really hard to predict what's going to happen in the game.
Correct.
So, we'll be back with you guys tomorrow, same time, same place.
BetOnline
It's BetOnline every day.
every day.